Something else I wanted to talk about today. If you want to homestead, be self-sufficient, food independent, subsistence farming, the, the, the foundation, the basis, the thing you have to do is you have to be able to produce enough calories. Before you worry about nutrition and healthy eating and all this stuff, you have to produce enough calories to keep you and your family moving from harvest to harvest. And if you can't do that, you're wasting your time with all the rest of it. For us, the corn's doing pretty good this year. I don't have faith in it. To me, corn is so resource intensive. It needs so much. It seems like it needs so much land. It seems like it needs so much fertilizer and water, and it's kind of this one-shot thing that I don't trust corn. You're never going to beat any of your grains for calories per pound, but wheat doesn't grow well here in the southeast. There's some varieties that do, I know, but it's a real labor-intensive thing, and it requires a lot of land. And I believe it's basically one whole year from crop to crop. It's not like so many other things where you can have a crop every 6 months. But what we've found that works really well, and that I'm really excited about, is sweet potatoes. It's a traditional southern crop. Doesn't have quite as many calories per pound as any of your grains. Nothing does. I believe your grains kind of are around like 80 calories per pound. Oh no, it's not right. Sweet potatoes have 390 calories per pound. So the average man needs about 2,000 calories a day, 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day. So in theory, you would need to eat 5 pounds of sweet potatoes a day if it was providing all your calories. But the great thing about sweet potatoes in the southeast is that it's not native to the southeast, but it's been here for a long time. It's actually from South America, and they do extremely well here. They do very well in our soil. They like it to be a little sandier, really, than it is, but they can do very well in our clay. Once they get established, they can do pretty well with the drought. In fact, they don't like to have too much water down there on the roots. It can rot the potatoes. And their big advantage over corn, even though they don't have quite as much calories, is they have a lot more vitamins. They're just got a ton of vitamins. I know vitamin A is a big one, and some other ones, and carotene or beta carotene. There's cultures in the world whose diet is based almost exclusively on sweet potatoes. And it is an extremely sustainable system, so that it fits very well into a subsistence model. It's not like corn where you have to worry about your seed degrading over time. The genetics in your corn it doesn't do well if it doesn't have a lot of room to cross pollinate. You need to be planting an acre more of corn at a time to make sure that over the generations your yield doesn't go way down. Sweet potatoes, you don't have that problem. Here's how it works. This is actually a sweet potato that we grew last year, and right about January, my wife put it in the jar, and it started putting out these slips, and you see it grows all these roots down there in the jar, and she just put it in the windowsill in January in the jar, and we have 2 of these actually that have produced. We got about 40 or so more plants out of these 2 sweet potatoes, and it's still producing. This sweet potato is a year old, and it's produced, like I said, about 50 plants, and it's still firm. It looks like you could have bought it out of the grocery store. The color's washing out, but I'm starting to think these things are immortal. They can live forever. But once you get these little slips on it, and like I said, it's pretty much self-starting. It seems like we've had the best luck out of the ones that are kind of shaped normal. The weird shaped ones don't appear to put these slips out quite as well. But once you get these slips, and they get about 5-6 inches long, or they have 2 or 3 leaves on them, you pull them off of there careful, so that you get there's a little piece of the potato left in there, and you put them in this jar, and they start making roots. And you can actually use these in aquaponics. They're supposed to be really good for, I killed a mosquito. Uh, you can put them in fish tanks and they'll just grow like crazy. Now they don't put potatoes down, but they clean out the water and they do really well in the fish tanks supposedly. So you get these little slips and you get these little roots, and that's it. You plant these things. And they start doing this. These are probably only, what, 3 weeks old? They're less than a month or so. Let's say they're at a month. Now this is anecdotal evidence. You can't, this isn't scientific. But we have had plants produce at least 10 pounds of potato apiece. Now we live in the South. We've got a very long growing season. We put these in the spring as soon as there's not going to be a frost, because they can't handle frost. Frost will kill them right out. I mean, they're a tropical fruit, a plant. Frost will kill them. But we get them in the ground as soon as there's no danger of frost, and we really don't harvest them until the tops start dying. Probably not going to do that this year, though. I just learned recently that these tops are good for feeding the animals, and these things, I mean, they go nuts. You'll have 15 foot of just vines going everywhere. They will cover the ground. It will completely. You won't have to weed this. It'll cover the ground. It'll squeeze out all the weeds. So I'm probably not going to wait for the plants to die this year. I'm going to see what we can do about turning those into fodder for some kind of animal. But you'll dig out potatoes, the sweet potatoes. I mean, they're this big. They're huge, some of them. And then you get the average size ones and the ones you're used to seeing in the grocery store, and you get some little tiny baby ones. But we have pulled 10 pounds of sweet potatoes off of one plant before. And you start doing the math, you don't have to plant huge amounts. They're spaced. We got these spaced. It looks like they're 3 foot apart, in rows about 4 foot apart. They need 5 square foot of plant, is what I've read. So that's, it's not. They need some space, but it's not huge. The other neat thing about these, as they start growing, you can cut the vine and bury it. That vine, it'll start a whole new plant. So especially in the South with the long growing season, we'll be able to get a lot more out of this. But the space we have in sweet potatoes is pretty much what you see around me. And we can reasonably expect to get 500 pounds of sweet potatoes out of this. It's probably 50 by 20. And again, none of this is all anecdotal. None of this is scientific. And we'll have enough calories to put a full-size man through a third of a year. That's pretty impressive. As we clear more space out, we will continue to make sweet potatoes a staple in our diet and plant more and more of them each year. And of course they store great. Some of the stuff you read says that they'll store for 10 days. Well, this one's over a year old. It hasn't even been refrigerated. It's actually been sitting in the windowsill since January, and it's still fine. I mean, I'm sure if we cut it open, we could still eat it. I doubt there's any nutrients left in it. I'm sure they've all been leached out for all the slips we've gotten off of this thing. But they'll store just fine, especially if you have a root cellar. You won't have any hard time storing sweet potatoes for a year or more. So, you want to be self-sufficient, you want to do the subsistence thing, and you live anywhere where you've got 4 or 5 months with no freezing temperatures, but certainly if you live in the Southeast, sweet potato is a crop you should make one of your staples. I read an interesting statistic when I was researching this, and it said before 1920, Americans consumed about 30 pounds of sweet potatoes per person. I believe it was per month, but it could have been per year. Today we average about 2.2 pounds, and they said that the reason was that sweet potatoes were considered a hard time crop because they were so reliable and they grew so well, and you could get so much of your diet out of them, that when times get good, when times got better, people kind of gravitated away from them to foods that were considered a little more high end. I mean, if you want to be a subsistence farmer, if you want to do the homestead thing, you got to realize your diet is going to be severely curtailed. There's very little that you're going to be able to. Your options are just going to be limited to what you can grow and what you can store. And sweet potatoes you can grow and you can store. So that's it. Take a look at sweet potatoes. If you live in the southeast and you want to raise large amounts of your own calories, it's hard to beat the sweet potatoes. Thanks, guys.